Hello, my fellow Americans. It is an honor to be considered one of your presidential nominees. America is facing a vast host of problems, and we need ready to take us over the edge, and actions need to occur, and soon. The first topic I'll be addressing is the issue of healthcare. Why is it that we have the most ineffective healthcare system in the world, out of all other developed countries? Why is it that the U.S. has the highest infant mortality rate? Why is it that we have the largest deaths per live birth among live birth of infants? Why do we boast the lowest life expectancy? Why is it that, as a percent of GDP, we spend more than every other developed country in the world, by far? The reason is that America's healthcare system is not a single-payer universal one. Every other country has moved to this type of system, and its results have been proven to be effective. That is why I, as president, would urge for necessary medical reform. I would move us to this point where private institutions would not be able to cripple us with debt just to obtain the treatment necessary for life, to live a healthy, meaningful life. America needs to innovate once again. We need to regain that spark and reclaim the honor of being the most technologically advanced country in America, or the most technologically advanced society. We need to invest in the future, a future where we continually strive to better our lives and the lives of our fellow men. The only way we can do this is through education reform. In every other developed country, higher education is practically paid for by the states. Here in America, we place crippling debts on the future, averaging about $30,000 per student in order just to get an education. Is it any surprise that as we have allowed for-profit colleges to prosper here, that American innovation has grinded to a standstill? Instead of talking about days that once were, where America led the world in solving our problems, why not bring America to that point once more? Why must we dull our prospects by making the dream of college nothing more than a dream? It's not fair to our children, and it's not fair to America. That is why I would fight for the right to learn. Our children will no longer have to put an acceptance letter aside because they simply can't afford it. There will be money well spent in education, helping qualified students pay for their education without going into crippling debt. And all this will result in higher taxes. We've seen in other countries that this investment is more than worth it. The war in Iraq was estimated to cost over $800 billion to the taxpayers. The Afghanistan war has been estimated to cost over $400 billion so far. This doesn't take into account the families that we've ruined, the psychological effect that we've put our soldiers through, the torment we've put on those to being away from their families. That is why I would bring our troops back by 2014 with no exceptions. We will continue to train Afghans to take up the mantle of defending their country and their freedom. We will cease to provide American bodies for the front lines, and we will remove American presence from the most volatile political region in the world. Taxes need an incredible reform. Over the years, we've seen the tax burden shift from the upper class to the lower class, putting them under incredible strain. We were told by Ronald Reagan that once the wealthy had more money, that it would trickle down because they would spend it. We were told that we would see the economy grow at unprecedented rates. We were told that economic inequality would shrink. That's not what we've seen. Over the years, we've seen more jobs shipped overseas, where corporations can make more of a profit. We've seen the wages of CEOs skyrocket, and the income of the average American worker, even though he has been putting in more hours and has become more productive, unable to provide for the necessities of life. With this massive income inequality, we've seen crime rates increase. We've seen homicide rates increase. We've seen an increase in teenage pregnancies and a slew of other social problems. To put this in perspective, the poverty rate of children in America is over 20%. In other developed countries, it's less than 3%. The U.S. not only boasts the most prisoners per capita, but we also boast the most prisoners, period. We have more prisoners here than every other country in the world combined. We used to wage wars on poverty, but now we wage wars on the poor. We've seen significant correlation between income equality and the rates of crime rates decreasing. That is why I would shift the tax burden back on the rich, putting a fair share on that. With regards to businesses, we would tie their tax rate to the minimum wage they pay, and the higher the wage, the lower the tax. And we will fix the social problems that face America. I thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. I hope that you will vote wisely and carefully. Think about which candidate is the most opportune one to bring America to a new future, one where we have eradicated our social problems, where we not only compete but lead innovation throughout the world. Think about who will fight to end violence and war throughout the world and bring peace to the country once again. Think about who will give everyone a fair chance in this country, uplifting the prospects of our future to new heights. Thank you.
Good job.